How are you, Wendy?
I'm feeling good, feeling really good. What a
Very
great
well, thank you.
summit it's been, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, so that's Wendy. She presented with us on the day one of Global Virtual Summit 2024. She is presenting again today. Let's all welcome with a huge round of applause. So let me introduce her, and then you can start your session. Okay. Okay. So Wendy is remarkable, compassionate human being, author, mother, and accomplished coach. She embodies the profound wisdom captured in Alice Miller's quote. The way we were treated as small children is how we treat ourselves for the rest of our lives, with cruelty or tenderness. We often impose our most agonizing suffering upon ourselves and later on our children. Wendy's mission is to help those struggling to find their purpose due to the ingrained belief systems learned in childhood. She is transforming lives by drawing from her own experiences and extensive training with a foundation in metadynamics TM coaching, which utilizes neuro linguistic programming NLP and emotional intimacy. Techniques acquired at Australia's premier coaching institution. She offers profound insights into workings of the human mind. So let's all welcome her with a huge round of applause and let's get started for your second session on day two. What will people think is her the title of the talk? Wow, the title itself is so resonating. So looking forward for your speech, Wendy.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Melinda. And it's so exciting to be here with all these amazing people that have so much to share with us, to help us grow and to share also with our clients. So, yes, my talk, what will people think or what are they thinking? And did this cross your mind today at all when you were preparing your speech? It did for me, even though I know the reason why. But before I start, can we just thank the previous speaker too, Inga, who shared some wonderful insights about focusing on something beautiful, because at the heart of it, we can't think about two things at once. We can only think about one thing, and the brain is very smart. The more you think about a subject, it will bring that to mind. So that's something that we can learn today and take away. You are what you focus on. So as the introduction from Melinda was, I am Wendy B. King. I'm a life and mind coach trained in metadynamics. So what is metadynamics, I hear you say? It's about transformation, transforming all of the person. It was founded in the schools of NLP, traditional coaching, and emotional intelligence. At its core, it's the code around self-love. So how can this benefit you? Well, if you are a coach or someone who sees patients, you will recognize some of yourself in what I'm sharing. And of course, you'll recognize that also in others. So my intention today is to give you some insight into why this matters so much. So much to me because it transformed my life and I see it transforming my clients every day. Because it is one thing to be in a state of hopelessness, and it's one thing to understand why things are happening and how we can deal with them. And I have seen people go from a place of despair and suicide to reclaiming their life, which is absolutely phenomenal. So at the end of the session, what I'd like to share with you is that is if you want to, and if it resonates with you, and if you love it, and only if you love it, what I'm preparing at the moment. I'm preparing an online course that is called Freedom to Be You, which will go more onto what I share with you today. So let's jump in. So we're going to delve into the things that go awry when it comes to our thoughts, our self-love, and where our clients are really at. We look at, when I'm coaching, we don't look at the goal. It's about looking and coaching the client, because we have some amazing people out there that are just shying away from being their true selves. And what you learn today is something that you'll be able to take on yourself as well as share with your family, because there is not one single person that I haven't met where this will not apply to them. So why do most of us, or why do our clients worry about what people are thinking? The fact of the matter is that we are emotional beings. We are biologically wired to feel and act first before we think. And at the core, deep down, we need to know that we are loved, that we matter, and that we belong. Because if we don't feel that we are loved, or that we matter, or we belong, people can literally die. And this was very evident in the time of the Romanian orphanages in the late 70s and early 80s, where there was about 42 babies to 2 caregivers. Now, they had a roof over their head, they were fed, they had clothes, but so many of the children died. And why didn't they survive? Because they weren't held, they didn't feel loved, and they didn't matter. Today, this day and age that we live in, the statistics show that 4 out of 5 people that visit a medical centre or doctor, it is not about a medical issue, it is a psychological issue, because of the stories that they tell themselves, that they're a failure, that they're hopeless, that they're not good enough. So what we're going to look at is what to look for in a client. And one of these patterns that is very common with your client is they have a goal and there's resistance to move towards what they want. So they might say, I want to achieve X, but there is fear around it. And fear is always at the heart. Fear of that we're not enough. And if we're not enough, we don't trust ourselves. And with that, that is the journey that people go on where they don't succeed. Try that on. They have ambitious goals, but they start perfecting them or sabotaging them. And at the end, they don't do anything about it. So what is that about? How, as humans, do we get so messed up? It's about words and actions. It is any pattern that does not expand you, cause you to grow, cause you to contribute to others, or come from a place of love. Any pattern that is like this, it is questioning our own self-worth. And it is about trust, self-worth, or self-love. So one of the keys to being a metadynamics coach is understanding and coming from a place of validating our clients. Because one, they have never been truly seen for who they are, because to be seen for who they truly are, they have to be vulnerable. They are sabotaging themselves, holding themselves back, and not being themselves. And if they don't believe that they can trust themselves, well, why would they believe anybody else could believe in them? So there's a lot of stories or a lot of thoughts that get in the way for stopping them accomplishing what they need to accomplish. So we need to be mindful that the goal is not the problem and we are not the problem. It's the stuff going on within us that is the problem. So if you see a client who doesn't trust themselves, or you're seeing a client that doesn't trust the world or the ability to handle it, this is really painful for so many people. There will be an endless, pointless cycle of self-blame or high standards that they are trying to meet. And because it feels too overwhelming, they stop and give up. Who here can relate to this pattern? I thought it was about fear of failure, but it's not about fear of failure. It's about, can I trust myself if I fail? Because this is what psychologist Susan Jeffers says. She says it's not about the three things that people worry about are, am I going to fit in? Am I lovable? But actually, at the end of it, whatever happens, can I handle it? Because we do not trust the world and we would rather take no action at all. It's too scary. And people who trust themselves in the world, in contrast, do not let fear stop them. They still feel the same fear. Are you hearing that? They still feel the fear, but they can still operate because they come from a place of knowing that they do matter and that they are lovable and they can trust the world. And one of the things that holds people back so much is a saying that I absolutely love from Prince Eyre. He says, before the truth can set you free, you first must recognize which lies are holding you hostage. So this topic today is, I can only go in a little bit and take you on this journey because it's so much bigger than this. But a great place to start is to be aware of what is going on and have an appreciation of where we're at and where our clients are at. And that is why I'm building this course called Freedom to Be You. And at the end of the talk, I'll put a link in there where you can go to my website and you can get a free resource with the title of the Icon Conference, which will have the information in there. So what I'm going to cover, because of time, is some really important aspects about the truth behind the lies that we've been telling ourselves or our clients have been telling ourselves. Because there's 6 stages that we go through in life where we never feel whole, where you feel that there's something missing, you feel flawed, you are not whole, that you're fake, that you're at the exception, that you don't fit in, that something is wrong with you. And if you feel any of that, these are the 6 stages you were taken through in childhood. And this is where I look at, because it explains so much about what happened, that you were too afraid of life, you're too timid, you're too scared, you still don't trust yourself, and you don't trust the world. So if you feel any of this, this is for you. I have never met a person for whom this didn't apply to. So stage 1 is that we are born with I amness, and that is spontaneity, playfulness, curiosity. We are a blank tape. The world is our oyster. But then we go on to the second stage where we get entangled in the tribal cycle. And as a result of that, our I amness is taken away. That is our curiosity, spontaneity, everything, playfulness that makes us us. And then we go through this crazy making stage where we feel shame. And it's not just shame where we are sorry for doing something wrong. This is shame-based, toxic shame. And then we get into the next stage of adulthood where we believe our shame is our reality. And we forget our spontaneity. We forget our curiosity. we forget our playfulness, so that we go through life never being totally fulfilled. So, and people go to their graves this way, not ever fulfilling their desires or who the person they were really supposed to be. Because as children, we had to make sure that our caregivers were okay, that we mattered. We depended on our parents. We needed to be heard. We needed to feel and wanted to feel, to have our world reflected back on us that we were okay, that we were safe. And if any of these things were taken away, it would shut down our vulnerability. The interesting thing is that most people say that vulnerability is a weakness, but it isn't. It is how we connect deeply to another human being. That is where we feel truly heard and seen for who we are. And you need to hear this, because if you're not willing to experience vulnerability and you are giving a surface version of you to someone you love, you're going to fail in relationships and knowing and asking for what you need. So to be vulnerable, it takes courage, because being vulnerable is risking failure, risk of being hurt, risk of pain, risk of not being seen. But if we are open to success and we are open to an intimate relationship, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. There are no exceptions. And if you have shut down your vulnerability, you need to know what to do to get that back. So what were these traits that we have missed out on or we've suppressed because we've been hurt from our childhood? They were spontaneity, creativity, risk-taking, being playful, have a sense of humour, being loving, being able to express our emotions. We are so conditioned to think that we have lost so much of our spontaneity, which takes us to the tribal cycle, because the tribal cycle is our parents and their parents before them and what happened to them. And what happened to them was passed on to them. What am I talking about? Your parents can't give what they don't have. Their modelling goes right back to your grandparents and their parents before them. This is not about blame. This is about understanding the patterns so that we can be informed, because it empowers us to know the patterns so that we are not weird or flawed, but we are part of the cycle. So there's so much to unpack around this. So I need your eyes to be really wide open so you can hear this. Everyone is a victim of a victim of a victim. Whatever was visited on your parents was visited on their parents. They didn't get their needs met. So our needs were tried to be met through their parents. So if your parents' needs weren't met and their parents' needs weren't met, they're going to try and get it through you. Did you hear that? When the parents' needs are not met through the parents, they will try and fulfill it through their children. That's how it goes. And I see this all the time, and this is huge. We got so well trained in how to think, what to say, where to be, how to act, and told our thoughts that our choices are wrong, that we carry all of this into adulthood because we end up trying to fulfill our parents' needs, that we've forgotten to fulfill our own needs. So we're running a strategy of not success, but a strategy of trying to please the parents. because as a child, we need our parents to be okay. So what happens is that we see them as a God because we need them to take care of us. So they can't be at fault. It has to be us. So we internalize anything that is wrong as something wrong with us. If you're feeling flawed as a human being, that is toxic shame. And if you've been feeling this for many years, the work is going to be seismic. It's going to take a lot of work, because whether or not we realize it, we are taking instructions from a role that was created when we were a child. That is why you don't trust yourself, and that is why you don't trust others. So what we do in coaching, or what I do in coaching, is to separate the child's voice from your choices today. Because if you want change, you're going to have to change something that you're not doing already. And you have to be motivated about it. And to think that it's going to happen overnight is crazy. This is about healing yourself and healing your clients. True coaching is coaching their soul, their spirit, who they are, the truth, the core of who they are. So if you've loved what you've heard and you'd like to find out more, I'll put my link in the chat box where you can get that free resource and learn more about the course that I'm preparing. Thank you so much for your time, and look forward to any questions you have, because we are responsible for how we think and how we feel. But before I go, there's just one thing I would like to share with you, and it's a poem from Ralph Waldo Emerson. This is my wish for you: comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, love to complete your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for the insightful speech and knowledgeable information you have shared with us. So, we do have a question from our audience. So, how do emotional intimacy techniques play a role in your coaching sessions, and what benefits do they offer to your clients?
That's a great question, because a lot of people do not understand that we are emotional beings. That means that we're designed to feel and act before we even think. And so we are not even aware of what emotions we can express or have, because a lot of the time our emotions have been shut down. And what I mean by that is that if you've been programmed to, you've got nothing to cry about, or you've been shamed for crying, or you've been told to harden up when you're feeling sad, all of those thoughts stay with you as you grow into adulthood, so that we have to unpack. You could go into a relationship where you are criticized, you're made fun of, and you feel that's normal behavior because that's what you learnt. So it's learning that you have so many emotions available that you do not need permission for how you feel or how to express your emotions, because so many people cannot articulate what they are saying. And what I mean by that is that there is people, you will ask them, how are you feeling? Fine. Good. When they're not, they are not. Now, again, you do not want to open up to somebody you don't know really how you're feeling, but even people that are they're close to, they still cannot express what they are feeling. So emotional intimacy is being vulnerable about what you are actually feeling. And sometimes it takes work to actually understand what you are feeling because you have suppressed them for so long. Your nervous system has gone, it's not okay to feel that. And so you bottle. You release so much pain that you don't carry anymore. It's just so energizing. It's incredible. Everybody needs to learn it, and we have been sort of trained most of our life not to feel, that we need to relearn how to feel. So that's what emotional intimacy is.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for the great explanation. So please do join our next speaker sessions as well and show some love. And have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.